Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video we've got buffs for 4 different champions in Raid Shadow Legends. Should be coming in about the next week or two with the next big patch to the game. So exciting stuff. This is obviously, it's much better than it was before. Raid do these balance patches more often. Of course, I'm sure that I definitely would like to see these more often and see more champions buffed. I'm sure you feel the same, but hey, it is what it is, at least for now. It's better than it was, and hopefully they'll do more balancing as we go further. But let us dive in. The first champion who is being buffed today is Baron. And actually, I'm not going to show you content creator chat. I don't think I would be allowed. But there was some serious nerd rage. The content creator chat has devolved. It's a melee. It's absolutely I tell you, it's getting violent in there. The nerd rage is real over whether or not this is a buff or a nerf. People are very unhappy. Let me show you what has changed. So this is what has changed. So Baron, his base speed is being increased from 90 to 100. His A1 and his A2 are still the same. His A3 is going to have an extra turn off the cooldown, and then his what is currently a secret skill, Sky Piercer, is not going to be a secret skill any longer, but it has been nerfed to ignore 50% defense. Right now, the way this works, Sky Piercer is an AoE attack that ignores all defense. It deals pure damage. It's kind of weird. I don't think there's any other champion with this description in the game, as far as I know. He's obviously, you can tell from his look, he's an extremely old champion. This idea of dealing pure damage, he's now going to ignore 50% defense, so it's a big nerf to the damage of Sky Piercer. It's going to be hitting much less hard, but this is still going to be an absolutely smacking nuke, and it's going to be unlocked by default with a 4-turn cooldown. So it's an interesting change to Baron. He's obviously going to unlock any of at the moment he's got these chances to unlock the secret skill, chance to unlock secret skill. None of that is going to be a thing. This is just an active skill. 4-turn cooldown AoE, then he's going to have 2 3-turn cooldown single target hits. And yeah, this one still scales off buffs. This one has a guaranteed debuff. It will always place decreased defense. This cannot be resisted. No 3% chance to resist. Doesn't need accuracy. It will always place decreased defense. And then, yeah, the A1 does the surplus damage if he kills enemies, which has some weird scaling. It's definitely an interesting change. Big attack aura in all battles. Like I said, the nerd rage on this is severe. People are absolutely outraged. For me, I think it's actually a pretty good change. I think this is going to make him kind of badass. Like, as an arena nuker, he's going to come in. He's going to absolutely smack. If I show you his multipliers over here, if we look at hellhades.com, you can see his A1 is a 3.6 multiplier. His A2 is a 5.5 single target hit. His A3 is weird. It hits reasonably hard if there's a good number of buffs on him. And then Sky Piercer is a 4.3 multiplier. So he's got a 4.3 multiplier on the attack. He does have good base attack at 1575. Very good base attack. And it's going to ignore 50% of defense. It's probably worth putting him in a Savage set now for sure. Helm Smasher for sure, and I think the dude's gonna smack hard. So yeah, I'm excited to test him out. I obviously have him. I don't have him booked. He does need 12 books, so I might try to get around to that. It does look like Sky Piercer won't need any books, so just as, you know, champion to throw in, and he does a big nuke, he's gonna work just fine. Yeah, let me know, what do you think about the Baron change? Are you part of the nerd rage? What do you think? It's certainly a bit less unique with the whole secret skill thing going away, but it's more consistent. I don't know. I think it's good to see an update for poor old Baron. Next up then, we have Bloodfeather. Actually, this is the 4th champion they're buffing. Let's go to her straight away. So Bloodfeather is a Force Affinity Orc, an epic attack-based champion. At the moment, she's got like this 20% chance to inflict a crit bonus. She can put decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown. And then she's got a decreased speed and a small little turn meter deplete on a 4-turn cooldown. Her buff is as follows. She's now going to have a 30% bonus chance to crit on all of her moves. So you build her at 70% crit, and she's always going to crit. Or you could even go like, 55% crit whenever she's the positive affinity. So against magic affinity enemies, she would always crit. Kind of whatever you want to do. She's going to get an extra cooldown off of her turn meter deplete move, and the turn meter depletion's going up to 50%. So I think, you know, she's definitely not wowing me by any means. I think it's still a bit of a rough comparison to Coldheart for sure, but this makes her, I think, much more usable, right? She's going to hit reasonably hard, I think. decrease defense on a 3-turn cooldown, and then a 3-turn cooldown, decrease speed, 50% turn meter deplete. It's definitely not amazing, but it's not awful. So I think she's now like, okay, she's decent. Obviously not going to be endgame champion or anything. I feel like, I could be wrong, I feel like she might be part of the Razin fusion. So you might be able to fuse her up pretty early, and she could actually be quite helpful. You know, with the decreased defense, decreased speed, turn meter, quite helpful in like Fire Knight and Spider early progression with the turn meter stuff to sort of control the boss and be easy enough to build with the bonus crit rate. So not too bad. I think her aura is not changing. No, there is one champion whose aura is changing. We might see them next. Yes, here we go. So Ripper. Ripper is up next. He is in the Skinwalkers. These are a bunch of champions no one ever really used. Actually, before we jump to Ripper, let me see if I can find you the... Yeah, here we go. With Bloodfeather, these are her multipliers from Hell Hades. 3.8 on her A1. It's godlike. 5.3 on her A2. I'm not sure why that's not godlike. It's a bit weird. Why is that strong, but this one is godlike? I'm not really sure. And then she's got a 6.1 on that. So she's got really good multipliers, actually. Yeah, she's got really good multipliers. She actually has a really good base crit damage, really good base attack. Her base speed is actually really good as well. And with a 70% base crit rate, I think she's going to hit really hard. I actually think that Bloodfeather looks real good. I think it looks real good. Now, Ripper is up next. And Ripper is getting buffed as follows. He's going to be doing more max HP decrease, less cooldown here, and more max HP down, and the crit rate aura. Okay, cool. So his A1 before was only depleting max HP by 10%, pretty rubbish. Going up to 30%, which is okay. His A2 is a double hitter that does more damage as their HP goes lower, 3-turn cooldown. And then this one is now going down to a 4-turn cooldown, ignores 50% defense, and decreases max HP. That's being buffed to, decreasing their max HP by 40% of the damage inflicted. And he's going to get a crit rate in all battles aura 19%. It's currently only force allies by 23%. So the percentage is going down a bit, but it's going to affect all affinity allies. 19% crit rate in all battle aura is actually quite good, you know, and you could definitely build him with that sort of intentionally if you wanted to. Definitely a specialist champion. Single target nukes that are decreasing max HP. It seems very specific really to the Scarab boss. I do wonder, they've been improving this decreased max HP kind of across the board for a lot of champions. I do feel like they want it to be a bigger part of the game, but it hasn't really come through apart from Scarab. So who knows what they'll do. But yeah, in terms of his multipliers, as they are right now, he's really bad right now, apparently. He's got a 4 on his A1. He's got a 3 plus scales up based off their HP. Strong hit on his A2. And then a 3.3 average hit on his A3. So he doesn't hit super hard, but he is going to have a lot of that decreased max HP built in. Seems like a Scarab sort of specialist. Seems okay. His base attack is pretty bad. His base speed is bad. Definitely underwhelming. Very niche. We shall see. Then I believe it's the Snorting Thug is the final champion who is getting buffed. So Snorting Thug, he's going to get a bigger chance to steal buffs on his A1, and the cooldown on Ruckus is going down. So right now, this one is going from a 20% chance to a 30% to steal a buff on each hit. Bucks up to, currently in-game 40%, it's going to buck up to 50%. So double hitter, each hit with a 50% chance to steal a buff. Okay, and then Ruckus is going down to a 3-turn cooldown, which is attack one enemy, ignores defense if they have no active buffs, and steals 2 random buffs from the target. He's got a passive, bucks to a 50% chance to steal a buff from the attacker when hit, once per hit, and counterattacks the attacker if they have no active buffs. This is an interesting champion. Accuracy in all battles. Snorting Thug, you know, as a Hydra champion, as sort of like a decent epic to throw in there, he looks kind of all right, doesn't he? Like he's going to be stealing a lot of buffs, potentially ignoring defense here. A lot of buff steals. Like, this guy looks pretty decent. You know, if you're starting out in Hydra and you're obviously struggling to fill up your teams, this epic doesn't look too bad. Now, is it worth building him up specifically for that? Probably not. You're probably going to want a champion that's more generally useful for like dungeons and arena and faction wars and Doom Tower, right? Building something just for Hydra early on doesn't make a ton of sense, but he's there as an option. Hell Hades website is apparently giving me a bunch of errors. We're going to use a Yumila for this guy. It won't load up on Hell Hades. So he's got a 0.8 times HP. That's pretty damn low. He's got a 0.12 times HP on a single target attack. That's also extremely weak. So he's not going to do any damage. His damage is absolutely terrible, right? But it's that buff steal stuff is kind of interesting. So I think maybe you build him with really high resistance and good accuracy. Stick him in War Master. So at least he's going to counterattack and proc the War Master. He's going to keep ripping buffs off the Hydra. This ignoring defense doesn't seem that relevant because it really doesn't hit hard anyway. Accuracy aura is actually quite decent. So yeah, I don't know. He seems again not a great champion, but sort of good specific for that. So there you go, guys. We got some fairly niche champions, but getting buffed up to actually be pretty decent at their niche. I think for epics, you wouldn't obviously be building these late game at all, but for early game players, these champions, you know, it's kind of worth holding on to them, and it might be, depending on your roster, worth building them up. Like, I think Bloodfeather is definitely one to look at. Looks like she's actually going to hit pretty hard and have some nice little utility on these moves, so I think that's quite a nice buff. And then Baron, the big contentious one. I think it's a nice buff overall. Definitely time for me to have another look at my Baron, see what we can do, because this is going to be a big smacking AoE. I'll definitely be excited to see when we actually get the proper maths done on it, how hard this thing is going to hit. Yeah, ignoring 50% defense, put him in Savage. If he triggers Helm Smasher, he's going to ignore everything. It's going to be a massive hit that he can start off every arena fight with now. Definitely intriguing. There you go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.